G'day guys, Reevesy here with another story time for you today. And we're going to be talking about how a corrupt lawyer will cover up an SA. So it does have a little bit of a trigger warning, but to be kind to those who need it, we're not actually going to talk about the SA, we're just going to talk about how the corrupt lawyer will cover this up. So we're going to pose a little bit of a hypothetical scenario, and I'm going to go through it and talk about the tactics that they use to hide these events. This knowledge might save your life one day, so listen carefully. This is something that could happen to anyone, don't ask me how I know, but today we're going to use the Kantian critical imperative to clearly explain why this behaviour is bad no matter who does it. And to clearly show who it might be that is engaging in this sort of behaviour, we have a special guest, none other than Mr. Ted Bundy, who is the most famous corrupt lawyer of all time. Yeah, let's jump right into our hypothetical scenario today. As always, these characters have no relation to anyone living or dead. Any connections made are purely coincidence. So if someone wants to make a complaint about this video, they're also going to have to answer in court why they think it's about them. So with that out of the way, let's jump right into this week's story with Reevesy and expose these corrupt lawyers. So our story today has three characters. First, we have Tigger representing our perpetrator today. And for the purpose of our story, we are going to say he has a little bit of a habit around this thing going on. There's a lake around the corner from his house where he made his marriage vows to his wife. That's where he takes his victims. This is the furthest we will talk about the actual SA. Covering this up, we have our special guest, none other than Mr. Ted Bundy, doing exactly what he does best. And finally, we have Yorick the skeleton, who is our victim today. And just because his favourite snack is ribs, doesn't mean he asked for the bone. So firstly, we're going to skip right over the actual incident and fast forward to a few months down the track, when Tigger starts getting nervous that Yorick is going to say something about what he did. So Tigger starts monitoring Yorick's social media accounts, waiting for something to jump on. This is a technique called helicoptering. This way, Tigger can get in first when it comes to police action and give themselves the role of the victim before it can be given to Yorick, the one who really needs the protection. As we discussed in the last video, this tactic of trying to make the victim look like the perpetrator is called coercive control. It's a tactic that's associated with serious psychos and the like. So if you see it happening, you can bet there's something more serious going on under the surface. Eventually, Yorick makes a post with a hypothetical example about something that happened on the same day. And Tigger seizes the chance to descend with court action and file a frivolous DVO. The fact is, the post made is a hypothetical example. And so dragging Yorick through court to get them to admit that it's vexatious might seem pointless to an outside observer. It was posted as fiction. Saying it's vexatious is exactly what it was posted as. But if you realise they are covering up an SA, it makes perfect sense why they would want to make it seem like the court system is impossible to wrangle. It's better if the argument doesn't make any sense if your goal is to tire someone out. So the first thing Ted Bundy does on behalf of his client Tigger is apply for legal aid funding, so that the case can be dragged out endlessly at no cost to Tigger, but Yorick has to spend months arguing in court defending themselves with someone who will actively not listen to their cries for help. Most people couldn't handle the cold heart it takes to suppress someone like this, but that's why Tigger called in Ted Bundy to do the task for them. Thanks, Ted. The next thing Ted Bundy will do is make sure all appeals get heard in a different court. This way, the allegations of SA will not be considered fully even if they are brought up. For example, if you bring up SA in a traffic court or in an appeal court, they may not listen to it until it's heard in the domestic violence court. he will also do whatever possible to stack the genders against the victim. So if the victim's a female, he will try have all male staff attend the hearing. Ted is a master at obscuring justice. That's why he became a lawyer in the first place, to escape blame for his villainous behaviour. So the aim of this entire exercise is to tire out the victim until they cave in and accept a worse deal. So Ted will do anything to put the date of the hearing back as far as possible, allowing him more time to slam the victim with relentless court action before it can be found the original claim made by Tigger was vexatious in the first place. So what Ted wants is the victim to accept a DVO being put on them and then to make them pay for all the court time. So if the SA victim has to bear the penalty and pay the fine before they have even publicly come out about what Tigger did, Ted thinks this will force the victim into silence, thus helping his client get away with their crimes and continue repeating them unimpeded. However, as with most psychopathic behaviour, it's actually self-destructive, and so it's built on a house of cards, so to speak. The problem Ted faces is that if it does go all the way to a hearing, and he does in fact win, the thing Ted wins doesn't stop the victim from posting more hypothetical examples as stories and earning royalties from them. So Yorick has to go to work telling more stories to pay for the crime of telling stories, thus making the whole exercise self-defeating for Tigger in the first place. So at this stage is where Yorick can turn the tide. Essentially, he will want to apply for a copy of the entire court record for his case and work out the places where Ted Bundy has engaged in corrupt conduct. This just means he has to do some reading about the correct process and go through the manuscript to find the places where Ted knowingly overstepped the line. He then needs to email Ruben and ask for his corruption referral template and then put it all together and give it to the Law Society in his locality. Ted's career can only withstand so many of these kinds of complaints. So because Ted's been bad, it's only a matter of time until Ted gets found out. You can thank Ruben Reeves for helping to show you how to expose your own Ted Bundy should you find yourself in a situation where you seem to be looking at one. So, thanks again, babies and gentle beans, for sitting with me for a moment to talk about these issues. I know they can be tough for some people, but if you know someone that might benefit from this message or this information, it's word of mouth referrals that work the best to get the message to the right people. Alright, so as always, if you don't see the next episode, so episode number 3, call the police because I'm dead. And I want you to accept these lessons as a gift of good faith, alright? Because what is good for you and I is good for the family. And what is good for the family is good for everybody. So for a brief recap, if you know someone has committed an SA against you and they appear to be helicoptering you afterwards, you will want to start keeping receipts. And the main things you want to gather are a detailed documentation of your court proceedings. You'll want to point out the exact points that corruption or obfuscation of justice occurred. You'll want witness statements signed by a JP about your psychological welfare around the time of the SA. You'll want to understand if and where embezzlement of funding actually occurred, right? This is an important piece of information to give to the Law Society. And you'll want to remember that handwritten accounts dated at the time of events is actually counted as permissible evidence in court. So keep as much of that as you can. But until then, please be safe and look out for each other and help everyone grow up big and strange. And remember, don't judge anyone till you walk around in their shoes for a mile. Oh, here we go.
toast with no bread, but it was just peanut butter and air. So I washed my face and I tried to go to town with no clothes on, but everybody was just there staring, looking at me like, who's that guy over there in the hospital gown with the blood in his hair? While I'm waving my bare ass like I don't give a damn down Parliament Square. So as the town is my church and the dog is my witness, lend your ear to what I leave here saying. Yeah, the end is not near, no, it's not even close, dear. When tomorrow comes, there ain't nothing you can do here but praise Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, and Vishnu too, saying you can't tell the time, 'cause the time will tell you. Sentenced to death by carrot in the court of no law. After I showed them a video of the judge doing the same thing that I was up for. As the dog is my church and the town is my witness, lend your ear to what I leave here saying.